The use of two 8-foot ground rods spaced 10 feet apart is acceptable as the grounding electrode. The number 6 American wire gauge bare copper grounding electrode conductor is acceptable. The supplied factory strap from EXO to the transformer case is likely adequate as the bonding jumper. However, it is best practice to verify this by calculating the required size per National Electrical Code Section 250.66. The size of the equipment grounding conductor on the primary should be based on National Electrical Code Section 250.122, which states that it should be sized based on the ampacity of the primary overcurrent protection device, OCPT. Since there is no water pipe or building steel available nearby, the grounding electrode proposed is sufficient. It is important to ensure that the ground rods are properly driven into the earth and make good contact with the soil. The grounding system should be inspected and tested periodically to ensure it is functioning properly. It is always good practice to consult with a qualified electrician or engineer when designing and installing electrical grounding systems. When dealing with transformer grounding, there are several key aspects to consider to ensure safety and compliance with the National Electrical Code. Let's delve into each of these aspects in detail. Firstly, the grounding electrode system is the foundation of any electrical grounding system. In the absence of a metallic water pipe or building steel for connection, ground rods are a common and acceptable alternative. The National Electrical Code specifies that if ground rods are used, you must install at least two. The ground rod should be no less than 8 feet in length. Spacing between ground rods should be at least 6 feet, although a spacing of 10 feet as suggested is also acceptable. The primary function of the grounding electrode system is to provide a path to ground for fault currents, thereby facilitating the operation of overcurrent protection devices like circuit breakers or fuses. Secondly, the grounding electrode conductor connects the grounding electrode system to the transformer's neutral point, often referred to as EXO. The size of this conductor is determined by National Electrical Code Table 250.66. and is based on the size of the service entrance conductors. However, in this scenario, a number 6 American wire gauge bare copper conductor is deemed acceptable. This is likely because the transformer is not serving as the main service for the building. It is still good practice to verify this based on the specific installation details and local electrical codes. Thirdly, the bonding jumper is a critical component that ensures electrical continuity between the transformer's neutral point, and the transformer's case. The primary purpose of the bonding jumper is to provide a low impedance path for fault currents, which helps to minimize voltage potential between different metallic parts of the equipment. This supplied factory strap is designed to serve as this bonding jumper. While it's likely adequate, it's imperative to verify its suitability. To verify, calculate the required size of the bonding jumper based on the size of the transformer secondary conductors, as outlined in National Electrical Code Section 250.66. If the factory strap meets or exceeds this calculated size, it's acceptable. If not, you must replace it with a bonding jumper of the appropriate size. Fourthly, the equipment grounding conductor EG on the primary side of the transformer plays a crucial role in safety. Its purpose is to provide a low impedance path for fault currents from the transformer back to the source, which in this case is the service equipment. The size of the equipment grounding conductor is determined by National Electrical Code Section 250.122. This section dictates that the size of the equipment grounding conductor must be based on the rating of the overcurrent protection device, OCPT, protecting the primary circuit. For instance, if the primary overcurrent protection device is rated at 100 amps, the equipment grounding conductor must be at least a number 8 American wire gauge copper conductor or a number 6 American wire gauge aluminum conductor, as per National Electrical Code Table 250.122. It's important to note that these are minimum requirements. In some cases, it might be necessary to increase the size of the equipment grounding conductor to further reduce impedance and improve fault clearing performance. When installing ground rods, make sure they are driven deep enough to make good contact with the soil. In Florida, the soil conditions can vary significantly, so you may need to drive the rods deeper than 8 feet to reach stable soil with low resistance. Consider using ground rod driving equipment to ensure the rods are properly installed without damage. Regularly inspect the grounding system to check for corrosion or damage, especially at connection points. Corrosion can increase resistance and reduce the effectiveness of the grounding system. Use corrosion inhibitors on connections to prevent this issue. Periodically test the grounding system using a ground resistance tester to ensure it meets the required resistance levels. The National Electrical Code does not specify a maximum ground resistance value for a single rod, but a resistance of 25 ohms or less is generally considered acceptable. If the resistance is higher, additional ground rods may be needed. Always consult with a qualified electrician or engineer when designing and installing grounding systems, especially in complex installations or where there are unique site conditions. They can provide expert advice and ensure that the system meets all applicable codes and standards. Additionally, ensure all connections are made with appropriate connectors listed for grounding and bonding purposes. These connectors are designed to provide a reliable, low-resistance connection that will withstand the effects of corrosion and vibration. When using exothermic welding, also known as a CAD weld, to connect grounding conductors, follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully to ensure a proper weld. Exothermic welding creates a permanent low-resistance connection that is highly resistant to corrosion. Grounding and bonding are critical for electrical safety, and it is crucial to understand the principles and requirements outlined in the National Electrical Code. Regularly review and update your knowledge of these requirements to ensure that your electrical systems are safe and compliant. Furthermore, when working with electrical systems, always follow safe work practices, including wearing appropriate personal protective equipment, PPE, and de-energizing circuits before working on them. Lockout-tagout procedures should be strictly followed to prevent accidental energization of circuits. When selecting grounding and bonding equipment, choose products that are listed and labeled by a nationally recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories or Intertek. This ensures that the equipment has been tested and meets industry standards for safety and performance. Finally, keep accurate records of all grounding and bonding system installations, including conductor sizes, connection methods, and test results. This documentation can be helpful for future maintenance and troubleshooting. By paying close attention to these details and following best practices, you can ensure that your transformer grounding system is safe, effective, and compliant with the National Electrical Code. It's important to remember that electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving. It is your responsibility to stay informed of any changes or updates to ensure that your work meets the latest requirements. Understanding grounding and bonding is not just about following rules, it's about protecting people and property from electrical hazards. It is also important to note that simply meeting the minimum requirements of the National Electrical Code does not guarantee a safe and effective grounding system. In some cases, it may be necessary to go above and beyond the minimum requirements to address specific site conditions or to provide an extra margin of safety. For instance, in areas with high soil resistivity, it may be necessary to install additional ground rods or to use ground-enhancing materials to achieve an acceptable level of ground resistance. In addition, it is also important to consider the potential for lightning strikes when designing a grounding system. Lightning strikes can inject large amounts of energy into the grounding system, which can damage equipment and create a safety hazard. To protect against lightning strikes, it may be necessary to install lightning arresters or surge protective devices, SPDs, and to bond all grounding electrodes together to create a common ground plane. When working on existing electrical systems, it is important to carefully inspect the grounding and bonding system to identify any deficiencies. Common problems include corroded connections, undersized conductors, and missing or damaged grounding electrodes. Any deficiencies should be corrected promptly to ensure the safety and effectiveness of the grounding system. Always use appropriate tools and equipment when working on grounding and bonding systems. For example, when tightening connections, use a calibrated torque wrench to ensure that the connections are tightened to the proper torque. Over-tightening connections can damage the conductors or connectors, while under-tightening connections can result in a high-resistance connection. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when installing grounding and bonding equipment. The manufacturer's instructions provide important information about the proper installation and use of the equipment. Failure to follow the manufacturer's instructions can result in a hazardous installation. Be aware of the potential hazards associated with working on electrical systems, and take appropriate precautions to protect yourself and others. Always de-energize circuits before working on them, and use appropriate personal protective equipment (PPE), such as gloves, safety glasses, and arc flash protection. Finally, never assume that an electrical system is safe. Always verify that circuits are de-energized before working on them, and always follow safe work practices. In addition to the technical aspects of grounding and bonding, it is also important to consider the human factors. People are the most important part of any electrical system, and it is important to ensure that they are properly trained and educated about the hazards of electricity. Provide regular training to employees in the proper grounding and bonding techniques. Encourage employees to report any potential safety hazards. Create a culture of safety where everyone is responsible for ensuring the safety of the electrical system. By considering both the technical and human factors, you can create an electrical system that is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and standards. In summary, establishing an effective grounding system for a transformer involves multiple steps, each critical to ensuring safety and code compliance. It begins with the grounding electrode system, which, in the absence of suitable water pipes or building steel, relies on appropriately sized and spaced ground rods. Next, the grounding electrode conductor connects the system to the transformer's neutral point, following sizing guidelines in the National Electrical Code. The bonding jumper maintains electrical continuity between the neutral point and the transformer case, requiring verification to ensure it meets code specifications. Furthermore, the equipment grounding conductor on the primary side protects against faults, with its size determined by the overcurrent protection device. Finally, continuous inspection, maintenance, and adherence to safety protocols are paramount for a reliable and secure electrical installation. Remember, while compliance with the National Electrical Code is essential, consider going beyond minimum requirements to accommodate specific site conditions or enhance safety. Prioritize regular training, promote a safety-conscious environment, and keep meticulous records of all grounding and bonding system installations. By integrating these best practices, you not only mitigate risks but also cultivate a safer electrical environment for all.